unfortunately, Nicky, you still never paid me for the Kessler bet that we still have ongoing. So maybe now you won some online tournaments, he'll start paying.
It's the Poker News Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 953rd episode of the Poker News Podcast. I am Chad Holloway, joined by Shaun Deeb here at the World Series of Poker Europe in Prague. Shaun, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, it's tough to get up for interviews, but, always love Poker News. When my family kept in touch for most of my career, so yeah, I can make some time for you guys.
Yeah, we're here just at the start of day 4. You made it to day 3 yesterday, ended up finishing in the money. You're currently, you're here Player of the Year, right?
Yeah, that's my main goal for coming here. Bracelets is secondary, but luckily they overlap a lot of the time.
Yeah, and you came close to bracelet number 9 twice. We'll talk about that here in a minute. You're second on the Player of the Year leaderboard right now, which I would argue should be first.
Well, unfortunately, the scoring system is the way it is, and even my second, I'm supposed to be lower. As always, there's scoring errors with the World Series, and I'm pretty sure my mystery bounty score is incorrect, like everyone else is in the mystery bounty, because they gave you your payout based on your field finish, and I got like 41st in my field finish, and they gave that in the overall field number, which obviously that wasn't the case.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully they can correct it if so, but long ways to go. You're on day 2 of a tournament right now, right? You bagged last night?
Yeah, unfortunately, I bagged 100K in the tournament. I lost a 400K pot the last hand of the night. So, yeah, could have been second in chips behind Mike Leah. Another good shot to go deep. But, I mean, whatever. There's a lot of variance in poker, and obviously this trip, I've had a lot of positive variance so far in most scenarios.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the 2 big hands. Making it to heads up, losing to quads in both, which is quite, I don't know what the odds are in that, but you don't see that every day.
I don't think you'll ever see that again.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the hardest ones. It's hard for them to make quads. It's hard to pay off quads. The second one, I definitely could have folded. The first one was PL08. I 3-bet ace-3, king-queen, double suited, flop a king-high flush on 10-4 deuce. With the nut low draw, my opponent I bet small, my opponent raises. I'm never folding my hand on any runoff, and knowing he probably has the dry ace to raise because there's no hands that can really raise without it. So I was excited and was just going to call him down and hope he didn't flop the nut flush to my second nut flush. And I slow roll myself when I see the ace of spades and no spades, and then he's celebrating, and I get very confused. I notice his hand. Obviously, the video went viral, me saying, "Oh, you have quads? Fuck." That's usually my reaction.
Check.
Call. All in.
Oh, you have quads? Oh, fuck. I was like, you fucking yeah, buddy. That's a fucking cool of course.
Carré, il a carré, je te le dis. Carré! Qu'est-ce que j'ai dit? Elle est belle. Elle est bien!
It's kind of cool to watch. Well, it's sad for me to watch back the videos of these moments being so close to, an extra bit of glory and an extra accolade. But yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes. And the second one, I knew he had quads, but I just love the storyline. So
yeah,
obviously you see the video, I'm saying I'm going to lose the quads for the second bracelet, and that's kind of was a punt. Yeah. So even I can fold versus quads some of the time.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of us could, but you're obviously a notch above us. But yeah, good story in terms of headlines for us, but sucks for you. Come close that back to back, but also a good showing in terms of Player of the Year points.
Yeah, it really wasn't that much. I think the Omaha tournament is probably going to be the lowest amount of POI points for any event in the 140 that qualify or whatever crazy number it is. And Yeah, and obviously first to second is a massive jump. Like getting first in either one would have been probably like better than both seconds. Well, not the Omaha, but the other way around. And the Colossus, had 2,600 people. So to get second is pretty crazy. But, I had chips the whole tournament, which is the usual theme of mine in poker. I once I get a chip lead, I continue to snowball downhill and keep accumulating chips. And that's exactly what I did in that tournament.
Yeah. So Player of the Year, you won it last year, which I know was a big goal of yours. Looking to go back-to-back this year. They've changed things up. It starts here, WSOP Europe will be in the summer, and then WSOP Paradise. I mean, safe to say we're going to see you at all three?
I never know.
Yeah.
Family comes first. There can always be some extenuating circumstances that I can't put in the volume I want to. So you've obviously dealt with my wife before, Chad. She's very intimidating. She's very mean. So anything could happen. Obviously, it's probably like 98, 99%, but it's not guaranteed.
Right. You've been to the WSOP Europe before in Rozvadov. We're here in Prague. Upgrade, better? What's your thinking about this edition of the WSOP?
I am a glutton for equity and comfort. And I loved Rozvadov.
Yeah.
I'm probably the only pro. I was like the only American who went there regularly. Every year there was like 3 other Americans playing the events. But their whole system with the main event, all the satellite qualifiers from their circuit year round, made the main event amazing. The food was easier to eat on breaks, having that buffet. So there was a couple benefits. Obviously, people who, besides me, who don't go deep every tournament and want to do things besides just play poker, I understand completely how this is a better venue. But I just really had fond memories of many good nights in Rozvadov over the years. So I'm a little bitter. But obviously, I'm happy to see the brand expand. These numbers are much bigger. The field size are much bigger, but they're also much tougher. So it's kind of give and take for why I come here.
It's been a long time since I've heard somebody praise Rozvadov. I've never been myself, so I won't judge it too.
I think it had a very bad rap for a long time, and people just refused to go experience it themselves. And if your goal was to play amazing poker and, have a great tournament room, have a great staff, a good hotel, good restaurant. So
let us talk about Nicky P. He was my guest on this show a couple days ago. We talked about the quads hands. He had some choice things to say, good things to say, but also a couple criticisms on sportsmanship, so to speak.
Shaun Deeb, he's one of the, for sure, best players of all time. I respect him very much as a player. As a person, he's kind of a dick sometimes, whatever, we all know this. But much respect for his game for sure. But also, he needs to respect the game a little bit more in the sense of when he gets second place. Yes, he's very upset. I'm upset when I lose too. But if anyone who's ever seen me lose, whether it's second place or whatever, bubbling, you need to act like a certain way. Like the same way you win, the same way you lose. That's how you should be acting. So like he should shake the guy's hand, say congratulations. Just a little 10-second thing. And then he's on with his day, I mean, he's a legend, he's a champion, and he should act like it.
What are your thoughts, your rebuttal to Nicky P?
I mean, I don't think Nicky P's ever been in a spot like that before. I've obviously been there a lot. So obviously we're playing heads up. I use a bunch of time banks. And as soon as I call, the guy just screams and throws his hands in the air. And I was over it,
Yeah.
If you're going to celebrate that hard, we're talking about sportsmanship. Obviously, I'm held to a higher standard, but I was just ready to be over it. That was a pretty exhausting couple days playing, super late. And I saw the guy in line when he was buying into the main or something. I shook his hand, but I'm not, it's not my goal and my, need to make others feel better about themselves. Yes, that's a huge spot for the guy. Cool. It's his first bracelet, et cetera, et cetera. But this is still a competition, and me and him battled heads up for like 2 hours. So it was pretty exhausting, pretty frustrating throughout the whole match. You could see my demeanor. I was very unlucky variance-wise and distribution of hands post-flop. But, I still battled back multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that people want any excuse to criticize me. Definitely some of it's jealousy from some other people on social media. Nicky P, unfortunately, Nicky still never paid me for the Kessler bet that we still have ongoing. So maybe now he won some online tournaments, he'll start paying for the bet that he booked and was so confident in many years ago.
What was the bet?
This is one of the dumbest bets I've ever made. This was like 3 years ago on Spaces. Nicky P's talking shit to Kessler, and I'm just like, dude, you can't call him out like you're Hendon Mob shit. You have no results. So I basically say, let's make a lifetime bet until either one of you dies, and whoever has a higher Hendon Mob on December 31st, if Kessler has higher than you, I collect 1,000. If you're higher than him, you'll get 1,000. And so he's like, book. I was like, well, you make it bigger. And he's like, okay, I'll talk to Fox and I'll do this. And like, so we have DMs where it's booked. And then all of a sudden I see him a year later and he doesn't want to pay. He says there's no bet. He's got to discuss it. And then I see him at Yankee Stadium at the World Series. Unfortunately, he was like, a little further back than me, but close to my seats. And I've been giving him shit for a while about that. So maybe now that he has a little bit more money, he'll start paying, because I think it's a very interesting bet. I think Kessler has him by like 1.5 million or something. So Nicky has got to do a little bit better in live poker. Those online championships don't add in.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm going to look. Kessler has 4.6 million according to the Hendon Mob, and Nicky P has 3.5 million.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great bet. I'm definitely was going to win for like the first 5 to 10 years, and then I'm never going to win again. But Kessler keeps taking on those $800 circuit events, because winning a circuit is so important. Let's go to your next topic.
Yeah, let's talk about a friend of the podcast, Maurice Hawkins.
You really scared the shit out of me. I was going to rip off the mic and leave.
You chimed in to Maurice, one of his tweets recently. And there's been others, he's just challenged Dan Cates to a fight. I know Jay Farber got in there. But Maurice, obviously somebody we've talked a lot about on the Poker News Podcast, did just win his 24th World Series of Poker circuit ring. But as somebody else said too on social media, like the value of a ring these days, right? Because there are so many.
I mean, here's the thing. The whole reason he got fired up, I was at Turning Stone. I made a bet with... Christian Roberts. Sorry, Christian. I'm just waking up. Super nice kid. I really like him. We've hung out a bunch, a couple circuit stops I've gone to, a few other random places. Just like a good up-and-coming player who gets live poker, plays mixed games. I really like him. Like I see a little younger myself in him. So anyway, this other kid, PJ, who I make a lot of side bets with, when I was driving to Turning Stone, I talk about making a prop bet for must win a ring or cash bets. Like every Turning Stone, me and this other PJ do a bet every year. He's like, nah, I just bought a house. I don't really want to gamble. And he's like, oh, by the way, I'm sitting next to Christian and he's interested. So I walk into the tournament area and I see Christian. I was like, you want to bet who wins the ring? And he's like, sure. I'm like, how much do you want to bet? He's like, 10K. I'm like, sold. I would have laid him at least 2-1.
Sure.
Like he definitely did not negotiate well. So obviously we're talking, and I literally tell him, I was like, if I ever played these things like year round, like I'm just going to be the leader like in a year. And that was the initial discussion. I was like, I always thought about doing a prop bet like that. My wife would never give me permission. I don't think I could ever get enough money down. And if I get enough money down, then it's going to affect, because they're going to send people. So I know that the theory of what I'm saying is going to be very hard to apply and be true in practice. But I'm very confident at what I call ATM buy-in levels, where you can get your money out of an ATM to buy in, that the competition is not really competition. And they're going to be extremely intimidated when I'm at the table. And I just get away with so much stuff that they don't battle back, and I'm just going to win an obscenely high percentage. And also, obviously, the buy-in's so low, I can gamble in rebuy period. So
yeah.
I'm very confident that I would win an asinine amount, including there's mixed game ones. You know what I mean? There's just so many poker events and there's so many circuit events a year that I would get there. So I was saying that to a few people at Turning Stone, because they had heard me mention that to Christian. And it's not a slight at Maurice. It's not a slight at anyone. It's just like, the top players are never going to play those. So it's like, to brag about being the best at something that other people will never, ever bother doing, and to think that you're on the same level of people, that's the problem I have with Maurice. Like, he's trying to scam people to buy his action. He's trying to scam people or his training course. Like, he's not a great poker player. Great poker players are at the biggest events. They can do so much more. They have success, at varying forms of poker, varying stakes against top opponents. He doesn't. And, that's, he found what he can do to promote himself. But the amount of money won, the expenses, the scamming, who knows what else goes on in that guy's life. And it's sad that he's promoted in poker. Even just for negative, I almost never respond. I pause every time to respond to his tweets because I don't like giving attention to the bad actors of our industry, but also being me, I like to call them out. So yeah, he's going to be in my sights for a long time. He's going to run his mouth, and I'm going to, always be there to shine the light on the darkness of that person.
I've always respected that you're not afraid to call people out. I mean, you called me out yesterday for my haircut.
I didn't call you out for your haircut.
Oh,
not publicly.
no,
privately,
that's true.
Okay? I just said, wow, did you see all the tweets at your haircut? It's pretty fucking funny.
I don't know. I got the same haircut that I have for the last 20 years. I guess it just looks a little different.
Do you want to grow up, and does your mom still cut your hair?
She puts a bowl on it and just goes around. One thing that we've talked a lot about here on the Poker News Podcast, and Nicky P did have nice things to say. He said, you should be a shoo-in, but Poker Hall of Fame. I do want to talk about it. It's something I love. I love the history of the game. You just turned 40, you became Poker Hall of Fame eligible. Is that a goal of yours? And do you, feel that you should be in, or do you think there's anything left you need to prove beforehand?
I think I should be in along with 150 other people. But I do think I'm the best candidate available this year. It's a poor system currently. I know every year they talk about changing it. I was talking to some of the World Series and Caesar staff this trip, and we're chatting about it and some of the options that are being floated. So I expect to get in this year. I made a prop bet I get in this year. I made prop bets over the years I'll get in before a certain tournament director named Matt Savage, who is better at golf than being a tournament director.
He listens to the show, so he just heard that.
Matt listens every time his name is spoken. Matt knows I love him. But yeah, so I think that it's an unfortunate thing. That's only one person a year. There's, I think like Kuhn, Ike, myself, Seaver, they're just people that have been amazing, have been great people in poker, have not scammed people in poker. That's one of the things I like to promote is people who've been ethical for 20 plus years, and it's going to be nice to be acknowledged by my peers. But I also think the flaw of the existing members voting, it's some of those guys have been kind of out of the game. They don't know who's been the best for so long. They don't really know much. So I have an inherent advantage because a lot of them are mixed game players. A lot of them only focus on World Series stuff, but that's also all I play.
Right.
It's, I think most people, when I chat with them at a table, are amazed how little poker I play year round. They assume I'm playing somewhere, grinding online. It's nope. I'm basically an Uber driver for my wife and kids all the time. And that's an okay life for me. Yeah. And so I get about 3 to 4 months a year to play poker, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've known of you, like you said, you are a big-time family man, but when you're in the poker space, it's you go full tilt into the poker. You're playing, you're grinding. We've seen you at the World Series of Poker many times, multi-tabling, going for Player of the Year. Seems like nobody loves it more, and I've always admired your sustained passion for the game after so many years.
Yeah, poker gave me everything in my life. Gave me a lot of my money, gave me my wife, gave me my kids, gave me most of my friend circle outside of my, family, my blood. So yeah, I love this industry. I've always tried to help it out. I've always tried to be kind to, dealers and staff and whoever. It's just, I was raised a proper way to respect people. And I know that's funny considering what I initially was called out on, but I show respect in different ways. A lot of times just by being generous, but I try to lead by example for my kids, and I will continue to do it. And that's all that's all you're gonna, when you die, that's all they're gonna know you for.
Right. It's speaking of kids and poker, a lot of poker players, Phil Hellmuth, we've seen his son start to come into the game. Michael Mizrachi's son, it does. I know your kids aren't of age yet, but is poker something that you would encourage them to do, encourage them to avoid, or if, what would your thinking be on something like that?
So I got a couple answers to that question. First off, I love Phil's two sons. They're great kids. I've been asked to coach both of them. PH3 asked me to coach him in mixed games, and Nick asked me to coach him how to needle his dad better. So, I definitely will be doing both. It's actually one of the things I'm going to do after World Series Europe, before World Series, is do a kind of intensive training for him and a few other people that I'm really close with who want to get a little better mixed games, want a better shot for bracelet or Player of the Year. So yeah, I really hope that PH3 wins a 1500 Raz, and he can say he's the best Raz player because he learned from me, not from his dad, who's not the best Raz player. Sorry, Phil, but it's true. So anyway, the other thing, for my whole many years, when my kids were younger, I said I was never going to teach them poker. I wanted to avoid it so hard, and it was about a year ago I kind of had an epiphany about why one of my sons is struggling socially on a lot of things, and making friends, and he's just doesn't work in a group setting. And I'm like, you know what, poker table is the perfect place to have a group discussion where you learn to pay attention to social cues, wait your turn to speak, not just talk all over people. And so at their school, I talked to the administrators. I was like, I want to start a poker club, but I'm not going to allow them to play for money. That's going to be one of the rules. They can never play for money. The kids are in middle school and high school. They can't have their cell phones out. They're forced to sit there, talk about hands, talk about positions, what they think each of people have, think critically. And I would love to get them in a spot where they feel comfortable being vulnerable and talking to people like, oh, I think you had this, and realize it's okay to make mistakes. I think there's so many things that they can learn at a poker table that are skills that they're going to translate into other aspects of life. Mm-hmm. And my kid, along with a lot of kids, especially, he's at an age where COVID really was, those year or two was really developmentally, sets them back socially and emotionally. So I'm hoping that dealing with the disappointment poker, losing hands, winning it, all just gives them practice that will help them in whatever they go forward in life.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I had no idea about that, but I think that's an incredible idea, and I think it's spot on.
I told to someone, you should franchise. I'm like, there's no way to make money, but I do want to, if I start it, literally, have set guidelines and be like, listen, you want to do this at your kid's school, and just basically spread it out. And I think it would be a great concept. I think a lot of people can get their kids into it for the right reasons, but you have to get away from the gambling side. Right. We do not want a bunch of kids getting in fights and getting $20 owed. Don't get into poker for the gambling side. Let them find the entertainment and just treat it like every other board game. Kids play board games and card games all the time, not for money. Let's try to, find a way to promote truly free poker.
Chad Holloway here at the 2026 World Series of Poker Europe in Prague to tell you the best way to follow your favorite players is with My Players on Poker News live updates. Here's how it works. My Players is a free feature on Poker News that lets you save your favorite players, follow their progress across live events in one place, and keep them saved to your Poker News account across any device. All you need to do is join by logging into Poker News. You'll need an email address. It's free. Then search to find your favorite players and save them by clicking the star icon next to the player's name. It will link it to your Poker News account, and then you'll get to track them in real time with your own personal My Players hub anytime, anywhere, on any device. That means you can start today, click your favorite players, and this summer during the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas, you'll get to follow those players as well. And don't worry, if your favorite player becomes your least favorite player, you can just unclick it and start following new players as well. It's My Players on PokerNews.com. As a kid, my go-to game, me and my friends played almost every night during the summer, was Risk. What was your go-to game?
Our go-to game was hide and go seek. Huh. So we played for about 4 hours every single night. I know people are looking at me shocked that was the game. And it was an intense game. There was one summer I broke my wrist playing hide and go seek, and then 2 weeks later broke my ankle playing hide and go seek. So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
You a better hider or a better seeker?
Oh, I was a better seeker. My oldest brother Ted was the best hider. He would just find a bush, like it was like Fortnite, and just hide in the bush, and no one had any fucking idea. He just studied World War II, like military fatigue and like camouflage, and he was just like a skinny little kid. He'd wrap himself around something and like just sit there in silence, and we're like, Ted, come out, and he'd be like 5 feet in front of you. You're like, how the fuck are you just sitting there? So my brother was by far the best, but yeah, that's kind of the way it goes.
I want to ask a quick hitter questions before we wrap this up, because I know play is going to resume here on day 4 of the main event and then day 2 of your tournament. One question I like to ask, I asked Annette Oberstad yesterday, was your first ever Hendon mob cash. Do you know what it was?
Turning Stone.
Turning Stone in 2000.
I didn't win it, but I think I final tabled, and I probably got like 7th or something.
You did. You got 7th in the 550 East Coast Poker Championship at Turning Stone, November 29th, 2006, for $1,700. I actually would have thought your results would have started before that. I mean, that's 20 years worth of results, which is of course great. But for some reason, I would have guessed like you were more 2003, 4. But you probably did. You come into poker after the poker boom?
I came in at 18.
Was 18? Yeah.
2006. Yeah, I feel like maybe I played online. Maybe I just didn't travel for a tournament series.
I mean,
I don't think I played any of the tournaments because like the first Turning Stone trip when I met up with the 2+2 guys, they were playing tournaments and I just played cash, and then met 2 friends who became longtime friends at the stage, and like I never played an online tournament then. So yeah, makes sense.
I think sometimes people forget, even I kind of forget that, you know, we're used to seeing you on the live poker stage now, but long before that you were just absolutely crushing online. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, and I think it's changed a little bit, but like the scoop titles or the coop titles that you had won back in the day was just so impressive.
Yeah, I've always been a leaderboard whore my whole life. So I won PokerStars tournament leaderboard, the yearly one. Like first year I started playing tournaments, I came in half the year, came in second to T-Netter, and then the next 2 years I won it, and then I decided to give up on it. So yeah, I've always done pretty well on that stuff, and when it comes to just grinding and putting volume, no one has ever matched me, and no one ever will.
I don't disagree.
Sorry, I should say Pads called out at me. You know, there's a guy who played like 1 million online tournaments, and he's the ultimate grinder, but I think I haven't beat if I wanted to be.
I mean, along those lines of the volume game, do you think you'll surpass Phil Hellmuth all-time bracelets by the time his career ends, your career ends? Do you think you'll get there?
Very easily.
Yeah.
There's just too many bracelets. He's not going to win another one, I think, in the rest of his career. He's not here where there's some small fields. He's not here where there's some soft fields. And, you know, unfortunately, his AFib and his health concerns, it's sad, because I would love to battle with Phil in his 30s and 40s when he was a little sharper at his game. But no, I love Phil. I respect everything he does for this industry. I respect how he treats fans and people, and when he interacts with them. And yeah, he's a great role model, like many of the top players.
Yeah, I'm a Phil fan. He's from Wisconsin, like I am. I've spent a lot of time with him away from the felt and see the side of him that a lot of people don't. A question I like to ask poker players is, who's a better poker player than you? You'd be like one of the few people I'd be like, is there even going to be one, or is there going to be an answer? But,
I mean, there's better poker players in specific games, definitely better cash game players, but overall tournaments, there's just too many games I'm towards the top, if not the top at. So it's impossible not to be me.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to argue with that one. Like I said, you'd be one of the few guests that I can say that about. And then last question I'll ask, because I actually watched it, was the National Heads Up Poker Championship. I got to see you playing on there. What was that whole experience like?
That was an amazing event. I got invited to the next one coming up. I guess I hope I can say that publicly. I think it's okay. But yeah, you know, I drew Alan Keating the first round, which was great. Me and him have, you know, not interacted that much, but enough, and we have a lot of close friends in common. So we had a blast, and Alan basically told me after the match, he's like, I think you were the worst possible draw for me in the whole tournament. He's like, I would have happily played Jungle or Doug or like Kuhn or anyone. He's like, because like they play, but like I'm a street poker player with him. So like we played some hands and I just kind of snapped him off, and he's just like, nope, yep, that ain't gonna work. But then I lost the next round to Kevin Pollak, who never met before, was awesome. We became friends over it. I watched his documentary Misery Loves Comedy because of it. If you guys like stand-up comedy or just emotional control, that's a great documentary. Me and Kevin have talked about wanting to do something poker-like that one. But yeah, you know, I wasn't trying my hardest versus him. I was trying to be entertaining, do some fun stuff. And yeah, I was really happy when he knocked me out because that meant he cashed. And for him, you know, that's going to be his poker accomplishment for the rest of his life. And that's cool with me. You know, every time he's playing poker, oh, I'm pretty good at poker. Yeah, I beat Shaun Deeb heads up before to get in the money in the tournament. Like that's, you know, a lot of people have that claim to fame lately, but you know, it's still, it's cool for them.
Yeah, no, I loved it because, you know, I obviously like watching you when it comes to poker, and Kevin Pollak has long been legitimately one of my favorite actors. I think he's a great character actor, supporting roles and stuff. I've known him for, you know, for a long time as an actor, have met him through poker, and so just to see you two go at it, and like you said, it was actually quite entertaining, one of the more entertaining matches of the whole bracket, I thought.
Yeah, I think that, you know, we both have similar loves of comedy and entertainment and understand the situation, and we just had so many things in common like that. There's just so many times you're at a poker table and you meet someone, you're like, yes, we have levels of success in completely different industries. We're 30 plus, you know, 20, 30 years apart, and we just bonded over the same things. So it was really cool. And, you know, it's always funny when I go back to my wife after a trip like that. And I was just like, you know, I'd start chatting about Kevin, or I call him, or we talk about something. And she's like, it's so weird how different of two lives you have. Like, you're home, just most people who are, you know, my kids, their parents or friends or whatever, like, they kind of know what I do, but they have no idea the level. And so we kind of try to keep it quiet. And then I'm just randomly with places where just, you know, name dropping, as Phil Hellmuth would do, all the people you're with. But yeah, it's I love that side. I love the mystery of every day of my life. I have no idea what ridiculous thing I'm going to get up to, or I'm going to do the most mundane, boring shit. And I love those days too.
Well, that's today, right? This mundane poker podcast shit.
This is definitely on the low end. Like, I don't even get to see my kids, and I have to look at your haircut.
I got you. Well, I am going to wrap up this episode 953 of the Poker News Podcast presented by GTO Wizard. Shaun, I really appreciate it. Wish you the rest of the luck, all the luck for the rest of the WSOP.
There's no such thing as luck. I'm on Team Lucky, but there's no such thing as luck. There's only variance, and I'm very good at variance.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm Chad Holloway, Shaun Deeb. We will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode, and until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.